Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about something we all do, probably dozens of times a day, sending email. But have you ever stopped to think about how private those messages really are after you click send? Today, we're going to dive into how you can lock down your digital mail using a really powerful tool in Gmail called TLS Encryption. Let's get right into it.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start by asking a simple question. Is your email basically a postcard for anyone to read? Then we'll talk about something called TLS, which is like the digital envelope for that postcard. After that, we get practical. I'll show you how to enforce it, we'll look at some super important security settings, and then cover what to do if things go wrong.
All right, first up, let's really get our heads around the risk here. What are we actually talking about when we say an email is unencrypted?
So I want you to really think about this for a second. If your email isn't encrypted, is it any more private than a postcard you just drop in a public mailbox? Seriously.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. An unencrypted email? It's a postcard. Anyone who happens to handle it along its journey across the internet can just read it. But a TLS encrypted email, well, that's a completely different story. That's like a sealed, tamper-proof envelope. Only the person it's addressed to can open it up.
Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, doesn't Gmail already do this for me? And well, the answer is kinda. By default, Gmail always tries to use a secure connection, but tries is the really important word here. If the email server on the other end doesn't support the secure connection, Gmail will just shrug and send it anyway as that open, vulnerable postcard.
So, how do we make sure our messages always go inside that secure envelope? The solution is a technology called Transport Layer Security, or TLS for short. This is the digital envelope we need.
So what exactly is TLS? Well, it stands for Transport Layer Security, and its whole job is to encrypt your email, basically scrambling it so nobody can read it while it's traveling from you to its destination. It's the technology that actually creates that digital envelope.
And here's the #1 rule of TLS, the part you absolutely have to remember. For it to actually work, it's not enough for just your server to be secure. A truly secure connection requires that both the sender and the receiver are using TLS. It's like a secret handshake. Both sides have to know it for the door to open.
And for all you admins watching, it's good to know that Google Workspace is totally up to date. It supports all the modern TLS versions from 1.0 all the way up to 1.3. The main thing for you is just to double check that these versions meet whatever security standards your own organization has.
Okay, that's enough of the what and why. Let's get our hands dirty and talk about the how. This next part is a straight-up guide for Google Workspace admins on how to actually turn this on and make sure those envelopes are sealed every single time.
And before we dive in, let's get the big one out of the way. You have to be signed in with an administrator account. If you don't have admin rights in your Google Workspace, you just won't be able to see or change the settings we're about to go through.
Okay, here's the path. Once you're logged into the admin console, you're going to go to Apps, then Google Workspace, then Gmail, and find Compliance. Inside there, you're looking for the setting called Secure Transport TLS Compliance. From there, you just decide if you want this for incoming mail, outgoing mail, or both, tell it which domains need it, set a few options, and you're good to go.
Now, let's zoom in a bit on that last step, because the options you pick here are absolutely critical. This brings us to the settings that really matter for locking things down tight.
Let's break these two down. Think of it like a bouncer checking an ID at a club. The first option, requires CA signed certificate, is like the bouncer saying, I only accept official government-issued IDs. It makes sure the other server's identity is legit. The second one, validate certificate hostname, is the bouncer looking at the ID and then at the person to make sure the face matches the photo. It confirms the server's name matches its ID. For the best security, you want both of these checked.
And here's a fantastic little feature that can save you a huge headache. Before you save all your settings, there's a button that says Test TLS Connection. You can click that to do a quick check and make sure everything is working with the other mail server before you flip the switch for real. Super useful.
Okay, but what if that test fails? Or what happens in the real world when a secure connection just can't be made? It's really important to know what to expect and how to fix it. So let's talk about what happens when connections fail.
So once you turn on TLS enforcement, you're drawing a line in the sand. If you try to send an email to a server that isn't secure, that message is simply not going to go through. It'll bounce right back to you. And for emails trying to come in from an insecure server, they get rejected before they even get close to your inbox. This is your security policy working exactly as it should.
Now, if you do run into errors, don't panic. It's usually one of a few things. First, double and triple check that the hostname you're using is exactly right. Sometimes the other server might just need a new valid certificate. If you use an outside service to handle your mail, you might need to give them a call. And as a total last resort, and I mean last resort, you can uncheck those validation options, but you should know that really weakens your security.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The official Google documentation says it plain and simple. We recommend keeping these options turned on whenever possible so the connection can be verified. The people who built it are telling you, keep your security standards high.
So, at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. Enforcing TLS is about taking control. It's you putting a mandatory lock on your digital mail. You're upgrading it from that public postcard to a secure private letter that can only be read by the person it's intended for.
It's pretty amazing how just a couple of clicks can make such a huge difference in your security. So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. Now that you know how to properly seal all your digital envelopes, what other part of your digital life are you going to go secure next?